I'm recording this video because it's officially been 1 year since I developed tinnitus, and I'm proud to say that it's gone. Well, not exactly. See, I still have tinnitus. If I'm in a quiet room, I can still hear it. But the sleepless nights, the stress of it all of that's gone. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that tinnitus has zero impact on my life nowadays. So since you clicked on this video, you're probably asking how I did it, and today I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to cut out a lot of important information about my case of tinnitus, so if you want to go back and watch my full story first, I'll link the video up here somewhere. But with that said, to beat tinnitus, we need to do two things. One, we need to weather the storm, and two, we need to habituate. Now, when I say you need to weather the storm, I mean that you need to find ways to get relief in the first few months when tinnitus is going to be the worst. In fact, if you're watching this video, you're probably in this stage right now where tinnitus is giving you lots of problems, where you're probably not sleeping well, you might have headaches. So here are a few tips to try and get rid of this stuff. The first big one is when you're trying to sleep, I definitely recommend using white noise. I had never used white noise in my life before I developed tinnitus, and the first night I had tinnitus, I just instinctually turned some on, and it did help. Initially, when you start out with white noise, you might find the sound very uncomfortable since it's something that you're not really used to, but over a couple weeks, you'll generally find that your body gets used to it and it kind of just fades into the background, kind of like your tinnitus will eventually, but it should help block out the sound of the tinnitus, at least in part, so that you won't have as many headaches and you will be able kind of to doze off and hopefully sleep a full night. Outside of sleeping, you're probably going to have some form of headache or anxiety during the day, at least in the beginning because of your tinnitus. So it's going to be up to you to find ways to figure out how you can reduce your stress and try and give your body some level of relief. Even to this day, I still recommend that you should try head massages. They worked wonders for me. When I was able to get a head massage during the first few months, I had pretty much instant relief where I wouldn't even hear my tinnitus, and it would give my body a well-needed break during the day or evening. Your form of relief could be something entirely different. It could just be exercising, it could be meditating, maybe it's even just a back massage or a foot massage, something entirely different from mine. You're going to need to experiment with different things and find out what works for you. The one thing I would say is just try and not resort to self-destructive behaviors. Don't watch porn, don't drink a lot of alcohol, don't do drugs, that sort of thing. Now, the more important part of beating tinnitus is to habituate. One of my biggest issues that I found having tinnitus was that getting help for my tinnitus was actually quite difficult. No doctor in real life really wanted to do anything for me, and then when I went online, I found that there were tons of people on YouTube that were essentially saying they were doctors or experts that are basically just preying on people like you that might initially have tinnitus, saying that they have some form of cure for tinnitus, so you go watch their video and buy their product or try out their stupid thing that doesn't actually work. As it is now, there really is no cure for tinnitus. Now, your tinnitus can go away if the underlying cause of your tinnitus is resolved. So for example, if you had an ear infection, the ear infection clears up, your tinnitus could go away. But the longer you have tinnitus, the less likely that it's going to go away entirely. Now, if this is the first time that you're hearing this, don't worry, it's not as big of an issue as you think it is. Now, if you're watching this video, it means that you have a brain, and the beautiful thing about our brain, even though we don't know much about it, is that it's really good at tuning out things that do not matter. Now, when you initially get tinnitus, it's going to be this foreign sound to your body, so your brain's going to be putting a lot of attention on it because it doesn't really know what it is. But over time, your brain's just going to get used to the sound, realize that it's not really a big deal, and that it's not a threatening thing to your body, and you're going to end up tuning it out. Now, not every single person is going to habituate to tinnitus as fast as everyone else, but I do think there are things that we can do to speed up the process. The first thing, and probably the most important, I believe, is that you really need to accept that tinnitus is part of who you are. So many people make the mistake that they think their tinnitus can be cured, or maybe a doctor's giving them false hope that it's just going to end up going away in a few months. That's definitely what a doctor told me. At least in my opinion, you need to get to a place mentally where if your tinnitus went away tomorrow, you would not care. I actually remember when I first developed tinnitus, I was on YouTube watching success stories of people talking about their tinnitus, and a lady musician actually said this exact same thing where she said if her tinnitus went away tomorrow, she would not care. And in that moment, I thought she was either lying or just purely delusional because tinnitus was giving me so many issues at that point in the first couple months. But the reality is a few months after that, I pretty much got to the same point where if my tinnitus ended up going away the next day, I would not have cared in the slightest. Obviously, we can also do things like sound therapy in the meantime to help us habituate and to reduce the daily stress of tinnitus on our body. I'm definitely not an expert in sound therapy, therapy, but my understanding of it is that you're just choosing a white noise or some sort of sound, and you basically put it at a volume slightly below your tinnitus so you can still hear your tinnitus, but it's not super loud, and the sound therapy is going to help give you some relief. And the goal is that also it basically defocuses the tinnitus from your mind, and the idea over time is that the sound volume comes down as your tinnitus volume also comes down. Other things we can do are just the obvious things to increase our overall health, like cutting out sugar, cutting out alcohol, stop smoking, get enough sleep every day. But again, the main thing is just going to be making that mindset change and moving on with your life. Accept that you have tinnitus, accept that it's here to stay, and also you need to accept the reason as to why you have tinnitus. Now, for some of you, that might be that you went to a rave and the music was too loud and you ended up getting it the next day. Maybe for some of you, you took an experimental drug that most of society took between 2021 and 2022. Maybe someone shot off something very loud near your ear. Whatever the reason, you need to let go of that because that's in the past and there's no way that you can change what has happened, and you can only control the future. Now, YouTube's recommending you go watch this video of mine next, but if you're not going to watch another YouTube video, take care and have a good day.